Hey everyone, this is Harish. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. From today, I'll be starting a series on mastering the terminal because what I believe personally is that people think interacting a system with the help of a terminal is difficult because there is lot of myth in the market that interacting a system with the help of terminal is difficult because you have to remember a tons of command. Okay, you have so people try to memorize a tons of command and they don't remember, and they start interacting with the system with the help of a graphical user interface. Nothing wrong, but if I tell the advantages and perks of using terminal, they are tremendous. So what I'll be doing is I will try to demystify things in terminal because what I have seen many people is they get confused with some of the terminologies with respect to terminal, such as a bash, command prompt, shell, all these things. So what I'll do, I will try to demystify these things, followed by I'll start with the basic command and we will be covering the advanced level command as well. And finally, I'll show you how to automate your system. That means if you want to perform any sort of operations in your system, how can you automate your system by writing a simple bash script. So having said this, let's start the video. So first let me show you how exactly the terminal looks. Okay, so whatever you are seeing on my desktop, so this thing, whatever I'm hovering or dragging this thing, this is basically a terminal, a black screen, wherein you have some sort of fonts written, some text is written, and there is a cursor blinking here if you observe. Okay, then there is something written here, PSC colon user, this thing. I'll be explaining you what all these things is. So just to show you, this is how the terminal looks in nowadays system, a modern operating system. But previously, if you see a terminal, let me Google. So in olden days, the terminal was looking something different. Let me show you how it was. You can see the picture here, wherein you have a display and a keyboard is connected to that, and you don't see any icons. There is only a black screen in which there are some text written with the help of white color, and there is a cursor here. You can see a blinking cursor. This is a typical meaning of a physical terminal. This is how the system were in olden days. But what you were doing here is you were giving an instruction to your system with the help of a keyboard, writing something, hey computer, do me so and so. So your computer is to perform an operation and it used to display in this console basically. Okay, but nowadays in modern operating system, they have given a terminal with the help of a software. Okay, we have created a terminal. This whole system, whatever you saw previously, the whole system, this one is been created in this form with the help of a software, and you can have a multiple system, multiple terminal connected to a single system, and multiple users can log into a different terminal. That is why we tell a modern operating system is multi-user and multitasking. For instance, I'm giving to a single user, I'm giving one terminal. For me, I'll be giving the other terminal. For other person, I'll giving other terminal. With the help of terminal, they will log into the shell, and with the help of shell, they can do anything. Okay, there is a saying in the market, if you access the shell, you can do whatever you want in the world. Okay, so having said all these things, let's start the actual topic. If I consider this one as my system, okay, so I can interact to this system in two ways. The first one is GUI, the second one is CLI. Okay, GUI stands for graphical user interface, whereas CLI stands for character or command line interface. Okay, if I want to tell my system to do some operations. Okay, that thing can be told to a system, can be instructed to a system with the help of two ways. Okay, if there is any other way, let me know in the comment section below. So you can do in two ways, that is using a graphics wherein you will have a pointing device such as a mouse. You will click on the icons wherein there are graphics for every application. So you can click on the graphics and internally it will do the operations for you. The other way is by issuing the command. Okay, so there are these two ways only. So talking with respect to graphical user interface, whatever you are seeing right here, the Firefox, the File Explorer, or Chrome, or some some other tools like VS Code, all these are graphics, okay, which I am able to see it through my naked eyes, and I am able to interpret it, and I am able to do some operations. Okay, but if you see this one, you don't see any icons. Okay, if you only focus on this window, you don't see any icons. What you see is, you just see a cursor which is blinking here, a line, and you have some text written, and there is a black screen in the background, and in the foreground you have a green color font. Okay, so this need not be black always, but by default many terminals are black in color. You can change the visibility or appearance of this terminal. So what I am trying to convey here is, to interact with the system, you can do it in two ways basically. One with the help of graphics, the other one with the help of a command. Let me show you. Okay, I have opened this here. So I am on my desktop basically. So let me go to the desktop. Sorry. Okay. So just to show you how can you do an operation with the help of command line, I have opened here my desktop folder, and here also you can see I am on my desktop. I'll tell you what these things are, okay, shortly. So example, if I want to create any type of folder, basically a simple operation, what is the operation? I have to create a folder in my system, not with the help of a graphics, with the help of a command line. Okay, so what I'll be doing is, I'll be just writing a command. There is a command called mkdir, and the name, folder name, let me write it as demo. The moment I hit enter, okay, just see what happens. Okay, there is a folder created, demo, where in desktop. Okay, so let me refresh this. You can see here there is a folder created. I did not create this, right? I did not do right click, go to a new, create a folder and give the name. I did not do this with the help of graphics. I did this with the help of a command line. If you want to do the same thing with the help of graphic, what you basically do, you right click on this, go to new, go to the folder, give some name such as demo2. See, can you understand the level? It's like you have to do so many things with the help of graphics, and you cannot do many complex things with the help of a graphics, because they don't provide you, they restrict you. But with the help of CLI, what you have to do, you have to just do make mkdir and the directory name, example 3. See, it is created. If I see here, refresh, you will see demo3 is created. This is just a simple operation I am trying to show you to understand the power of command line. Okay, and don't worry about what is this mkdir, I'll explain you everything. So let me clear the screen. Okay, so this thing we will be doing. So in order to do all this thing, let us try to understand few terminologies which are associated with this, because I see many people getting confused with these terms. Okay, the first one is terminal itself. What is terminal? Second is shell. We will try to understand shell. Third is a console. And fourth is command line. Okay, so what is a terminal? A terminal is basically a program or an interface wherein it gives a provision to enter something with the help of your input device and display something in the same screen. Okay, example, this one. See, you can enter something, and whenever I hit enter, or example, if I want to type something, I'm telling echo Harish. Echo Harish. The moment I hit enter, see, it is taking input as well as it is displaying me the output in the same interface. Okay, this is basically a terminal. You can see this is basically a terminal. Okay, and what is shell? Okay, shell is a program which is taking this input and processing and giving me this output. Basically, a shell is a program which is running within the terminal. Whatever data you give in a terminal, that is processed by a shell. Basically, which shell I am using now? I am using a PowerShell, which is there in Windows. If you are there in the Linux or Mac OS, you will have different shells. Okay, I'll be talking about the shells, okay, shortly. So this is how things happen. To understand this in a very proper way, you can let me explain you with the analogy. Okay, you can consider a ATM machine. To understand terminal better, you can think of an ATM machine wherein you go to withdraw money. You see some screen. Okay, so this is basically your terminal. Whatever the screen you see, it will tell like, do you want to withdraw money, anything. This is basically a terminal. Okay, and whatever processing happens behind the scene, that is basically a shell. A shell is basically a software that does processing by taking some input from the terminal. Okay, now that we have understood a terminal and shell, let me explain you. Now that we have understood what is terminal and shell, let me explain you what is there within the terminal. Okay, so you can see here, whatever you are able to see, right, from this C, from this to this whole thing, this is called basically a shell prompt, or you can call it as a command prompt. Command prompt or shell prompt. Whatever this blinking cursor you are seeing right here, let me use the another, this line, whatever this line you are able to see, this is known as command line. Command line is where there is a line, you can see this line, okay, where you have to enter the command. This position is called command line, and remaining before that, preceding to this command line, whatever is there, it is called command prompt or a shell prompt. Okay, whatever you are seeing this PS, that means I am there in my PowerShell. I am there in my PowerShell. Let me show you that demo. See, now what it is telling, this cursor, whatever you are able to see, this is my command line, and whatever I am highlighting here, this is called my shell prompt, or you can call it as a command prompt. And basically I am in which shell now? PowerShell. Let me go to the other shell. Let me go to the CMD, which is the basically in Windows we have mainly two shells, which is one is command line interpreter, the other one is PowerShell. Okay, so far I was in the PowerShell. How do I know I am in PowerShell? You can see here PS stands for PowerShell. Now I am going to the command line. Whenever I hit enter, you can see this PS is not there now. This PS is not there. That means I am there in my command prompt now. To demonstrate this, there is a command called pwd, print working directory. The moment I hit this, this is not supported by command shell. Okay, basically a command prompt. But whenever I hit go to the PowerShell back, okay, now you can see there is a PS, means within a terminal I can have many shells. Okay, wherein in Windows I have a command shell and PowerShell. If you go to the Linux or Mac OS, you have something called Bourne shell, K shell, Bash shell, Z shell, K shell. There are many shells. Okay, this command, whatever the command I was entering, right, dir or mkdir, these commands depend upon the shell, which shell you are using. Okay, if I am using something Bash shell, for listing the directory I have to use ls command. But if I hit ls here, This PowerShell also supports that, but if I am there, if I am in CMD, this ls command is not supported, okay, because as I told, commands varies from shell to shell, okay, but many shells have the similar commands, okay, just to maintain the compatibility. So let me go to the PowerShell. See, now here I can execute pwd command, because pwd command is supported in PowerShell, whereas if you see in CMD, the pwd command is not supported, okay. So because PowerShell is the newer version of command in Windows, if I want to go for the Linux, let me go to Windows Subsystem Linux. This is a way wherein you can use your Linux system in your Windows. Basically, you are using a full-fledged Linux system in your Windows. So now you can see I am on my Linux system. This is basically a Linux system where I do ls. This command works fine here. Okay. So just trying to recap things, what happens is, let me explain here. You have a terminal window. This terminal window, okay, it is also called as command line in Windows. This is a name used in Windows, and this is the name used in Mac and Linux. You have basically a window wherein you have something here, text, which is basically called as a prompt generally, or you can call it as shell prompt or command prompt. Followed by that, you have a line, okay, a line, a blinking line or a cursor wherein you have to enter the command. It is asking for some input, okay. Here I enter something, example mkdir command. So this, whenever I hit this and hit enter, what it does, within this terminal I have a shell running. Within this terminal I have a shell running. In Windows I have something known as PS, PowerShell. What that PowerShell does is it takes this make dir command and it executes for us, and whatever the output of this PowerShell was there, it get displayed on the same terminal. So what we are doing, a terminal is basically providing an interface in order to talk to the system. What operation I want to do by talking to system? I want to create a file or a directory. I am doing here make directory demo, as I did. So what I am telling a PowerShell, hey PowerShell, I am issuing you some instruction with the help of a terminal. I am telling create a directory with the name demo. So what shell is doing is basically it is taking the input, that is make directory demo, and it is performing that successfully and displaying us in the terminal. So what is the syntax of this? I'll explain you the syntax of the prompt. So whatever I told, a shell prompt basically follows a syntax. What is this syntax? There would be a username, @ there would be a host name, and finally if you see in the Linux system you would see something called $symbol at the end, okay. So username can be Harish, any user, okay, because for the same system, for the same computer, if you see the same computer, there can be many users logged in at the same time. That is why it is called multi-user system, okay. So there might be a Harish, there might be some XYZ, there might be some Ramu person, many people would be logged into the same system, okay. But @ the host name would be same. Host name is the basically a computer name, followed by you would see some symbol here, okay. This is the basic syntax, how your shell prompt would look like, okay. Now that we have seen what is terminal and what is the shell, let us see what is a console. Let me take a laptop as an example. This is your laptop wherein you enter some sort of data with the help of a keyboard, right? and you get whatever the data you enter here, it is being displayed here on some display device. Here it is monitor. The whole this thing, combination of keyboard plus this console, we call it as combination of this keyboard plus this display unit, we call it as a console. Okay, this is a console. What console it is? It is a physical console. This is a physical console. If you create the same this, combining this keyboard and this display, if you combine this with the help of some software, okay, which exists in the Linux, that we call it as a logical console, because it does not exist physically, right? So that is called a logical console. You can think of this terminal is also one console. Okay, you can think this terminal is also one console, because what you are doing, you are entering some command and it is taking and displaying, means this terminal is doing two jobs. One is taking the input and displaying the output. So it is acting like a two device. So you can call it as this is a console, but this is not a physical console. It is a logical console which is created with the help of some software known as a terminal. And whatever the processing happens, that is taken care by the shell. Okay, there are different types of shell. In Windows we have mainly two shell. One is a command shell and the other one is a PowerShell. Whereas in Mac and Linux you have something known as K shell, Bourne shell and C shell. There are many shell, but by default in every Linux system or Unix based system, the bash is the default shell, which is born again shell. And talking about Mac, initially we had a bash shell as default, but now Mac has come up with some advanced feature adding to Z shell, and Z shell is our default shell. This is Z shell. On more on what exactly this shell does, what are this different shell, I'll be covering in the future videos. Okay, so that's it for today. If you guys have any doubt, you can tell it in the comment section below, and if you want me to make a video on any specific topic, that also you can drop me in the comment section below. Okay, so please, if you found this video informative, please like, share the video and subscribe to my channel to get the latest notification on my new videos. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, keep growing.